Welcome everyone. Today I'm going to help you master a really special track, and it's Le Mans, if you didn't already know this. We'll use the wonderful new Ford Mustang for this lap guide, and my name is Gregor Schill. I'm a professional test driver and coach for the Coach Dev Academy, and also an esports driver for the PS Plus competition esports team. So without further ado, let's get into it. A really quick lap on Le Mans already starts with the exit of the last corner, right? So what we want to do is you want to cut as much as the track limit allows you here previously before you start the lap, and then open up the exit as much as you can so you get those 1-2 kph additionally for the next straight. And then what you do here in LMU, which is quite special, you go quite tight here initially to the wall, and then you drift off to the left to open up the corner because it's a bit quicker. Then you go here to the inside, and when you are here on the level of the total energy sign, so to say, that's where you brake. You can also use the white line here as a reference, but for me the total energy sign is a bit more clear and could be also a bit easier for you to spot. Then we brake really hard a long time in a straight line before we start to trail into the apex, and when we reach here the apex we try to cut a lot as we can, but be careful again, only as much as the track limit allows you, and the same applies for the second part. So when we exit now here this corner, you just use the throttle to rotate the car. So in this case you just lift slightly to get the front into the corner, and then you can go back onto the power, cut a lot, be careful with the track limit, and maximize the track on the exit. Watch out here. So this will be already a cut, so just try to stay within the white line here, that's important. This one is flat out, the downhill right hand now again, and now we want to try to stay quite tight here through this corner. You don't want to run too wide, so it's important that you look ahead here, because the next left-hander requires us to brake on the right side. So we bring the car over to the right, and just as you see here on the left and right you have those corner number signs, and around 30 meters before that's where we start to brake. Get the car here into the banking, patience, 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 and then when the corner opens up that's where you floor the car, and here you can even drive slightly here like that over the curb to straight line your exit and help you to get it flat. Now for Tetra Rouge, one of the most crucial corners here, because if you mess this one up you lose all the time on the next straight for 20-30 seconds or so. So how do we attack this corner? You see here on the left side the curb, and there's a point where it starts to drop slightly, and that's here. You also feel it in the force feedback, and just after that, that's where you tap the brake slightly, carry a bit of brake into the corner to help the front bite, and then you just patiently wait till you arrive at the apex, and then you can floor the car. Maximize the track, but be careful here again with the white line on the exit. And because this is such an important corner to master, we will have a look at this one in Delta again. Arrive here at pretty high speed for a GT3 car into the corner entry here, and then you see a really soft braking here, only 35%, then patience, 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 and then bam, onto the power, and maximize the track here on the exit. You also see it really well in the data tab actually, if we go here downhill, how it's a really just gentle brake, right? You don't really go too hard into the brake, it's really soft and gentle as I said, and then you just are patiently waiting on the throttle to then attack it as soon as you reach the apex. Now, after the Rouge, quite a long straight, where you can just basically now reset our mind again to forget about how everything was in the past corners. We now only can focus on the next ones. And what we do here is we try to maximize, of course, always the entry also for the chicane. So we try to position the car like that here on the left side. Be careful again with the track limit, like that will be invalid, so just stay within the white line. And then we look on to the left side and watch the metal barrier. And after the yellow marker here, you will see just right here really well that the metal barrier has just like this part where the one part is just a bit darker, right? So it's, if you look here on the left side, that's what right now here on the left, and this is our reference point. That's where we brake, and we brake really hard for a long time. As soon as we turn in, we start to go off the brake, and then here, depending on how much speed you can actually carry in, sometimes you need to adjust the speed slightly with your throttle to get the car slightly back up to speed, to then be able to brake really gently for the left part. And we only go really aggressively on the power here at the apex, not before. It's important that you open up the steering here just in time, so you can really put the power down quite aggressively to not lose any time now on this straight. Now our eyes are looking all ahead. We want to prepare the next corner as early as possible. And in order to do that, we need to bring the car already at that stage now over to the right side, same as with the other chicane. Be careful with the track limits. And on the right side, we will find a reference point, and it's not the metal barrier at this stage again. It is the 100-meter board, which is just like spot on. That's where we start to brake really hard in a straight line. As we turn in, we trail off the brake, drive slightly onto the curb, and in that section you can also again use slightly, you know, a bit of throttle to just stop the car from decelerating and just help it to have the necessary entry speed for the second part of the chicane. So then you are here back onto the brake slightly, and only when you arrive here on the inside, that's where you really go onto the power. Straight line, you exit as much as you can to get the highest top speed on the straight. Now, as we try to prepare the next corner, we want to open up it again, so we go here onto the left. And our braking reference point is essentially here. If you see, on the right side you have a white line, and it ends when it gets really dark. And when we arrive here from the left side, we see this dark line here, so it's just now ahead of our bonnet, you see. And when we pass this here, that's where we start to brake. You want to maximize the braking here in a straight line, slow down the car as much as you can without a lot of ABS intervention. So you try to bring the car here in a straight line over. Be careful here, you don't want to bring the car here onto the left side, because if we go back into the car, you see you have banking which goes out of the corner. So it's actually like, let me quickly, so if it's basically like that, as you see. So if you position the car like that, you will never ever be able to recover the car back to the apex. So be careful here to just go as close as possible to the white line, but not beyond. When you trail then here into the apex, be careful to not cut too much, because this will essentially be a cut. So when you cut here, try to be already done with the rotation. So you want to be able to go on the power at the apex, open up the steering, and maximize the track here till the gravel. Now a bit of a break again, and the corner we arrive now is LMU, and it's literally, I would say, one of the hardest corners on this track, because a lot of drivers lose their lap there because it's so easy to misjudge it or do a mistake because you want to recover too much lap time, or basically you take it too cautious and this costs you also a lot of lap time. So we need to drive this corner always at its limit, but not over, right? And how do we do it? You see this green part on the tarmac here, the green ashtray if you want to call it like that. Just at the end there, you tap the brake really gently to get the front to bite, and then you go on to the power here slightly to just keep the high entry speed alive. And when you are straight here, parallel to the white line, that's when you can start to brake again. When you trail brake, really try to do it till the apex, so you maximize the rotation of the car. When you arrive here, aggressively on the power, the banking helps you, and you can maximize the track on the exit. But we are not done yet. You still need to bring the car immediately over here to the left side, and then brake just on the Goodyear level. So what I mean by that is, you see the Goodyear sign here on the left side. Just when it's out of your vision, that's where you start to brake. Trail brake till the apex. And then aggressively onto the power, open up the steering and exit the corner. In that corner, it's really important that you put the emphasis on opening up the steering, because if you don't do that and you go still aggressively onto the power, you will lose a lot of lap time, because the rear will step out and then you lose all the time down the straight here. Now, one final breath before we attack the Porsche corners, which are literally, I would say, the most, or which is literally the most intense section on this track. And I hope the following tips will help you to master it. So what you do is, you have the same approach as with Indy. You have the green Astro here. You tap the brake really slightly here at the end of it to bring the car into the banking here and into the corner inside. When you arrive at the apex, you floor the car. Don't try to run too wide, because you want to bring the car slightly into the middle of the road to be able to take this left-hander flat. Then the following left-hander here is just like a slight lift to help you to stay tight, back on the power. So when you arrive here on the inside white line, you just brake really slightly, one downshift, back on the power, keep your car to the right, and then just a small lift here to bring the car over to the inside and then back onto full throttle. As the section is so crucial to get a quick lap time, we'll have again a look in Delta. We arrive at full speed here, and then as you see, it's just early gentle braking application, 42% only, and not for a long time. You see we go quite quickly out of the brakes, coast a bit, and then back on the power here aggressively. And you see here really well how we don't try to maximize the track here on the exit, because if we would have done that, we would never be able to make the next corner flat. So it's important to have this compromise here, to bring the car over to the right slightly, and then you'll be able to get this section flat out. Next one, as I said, is slightly with a lift to just help the car stay tight here. And then as soon as we arrive on the right side, we just brake really soft to 50% and not for a long time, because we go quite quickly out of the brake again, and then wait for the corner to open up again, which happens here. Then you can go aggressively onto the power, and then all you need is to stay tight, hug the inside longer than you think, and then turn in, small lift, maybe even a slight tap on the brake to get the front end to bite and into the corner. And as soon as you reach the apex, you can be aggressively onto the power and open up the steering. So now we just need to nail the chicanes, and then we'll be fine. So how do we do that? First of all, we want to already try to open up the entry here into this last section as much as we can, and in order to do that, we go here even a bit on the pit entry road, which is fine because, as you see, we are still in track limit. And then what you do is you start to point the car slightly into the corner, because this helps the car to get basically the trajectory you want. And when you arrive here on the curb just before, that's where you start to brake. Not really hard, to be honest, because you want to carry quite some speed into the corner, and cutting here everything on the left and on the right is essential to be able to carry the speed into the corner. Don't try to overdo it though, because if you do that, you will end up too much here onto the left side, and then you will never ever be able to bring the car back to the right side to have a good run through the last chicane. So try to not run more to the left than the middle of the road, I would say. So we'll have time to bring the car slightly over to the right, and then really gently onto the brake. Cut as much as the track limit allows you to. Again, be careful with the white line here. And then you can really send it even here over this curb, because the car has such an amazing suspension. But yeah, this was the lap guide on Le Mans in the wonderful Ford LMU GT3. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you want to see how a quick lap looks around this track, make sure to watch the video until the end. There you will see my teammate Jakob Ostermann do an incredible quick lap in the Ford. If you want to compare your own lap against him, make sure to check Delta out. And other than that, thanks for tuning in, and I see you in the next lap guide. Bye bye.